It can be really tough being a international YouTube celebrity, like every day just walking down the street, I get stopped by fathers and they say, Dan, my son, he watches your channel, he has your posters on his wall. Is there just one piece of advice? What would you tell him? What is one piece of advice that could change his life? Okay, perhaps, okay, delusions aside, maybe that's never happened. But if I did have to give one piece of advice, I honestly don't know what that would be, but I do know one piece of advice that had a massive impact on my life that I had received. And I'd like to share that here. When I was in my early 20s, I hired a coach. And we only, I think, worked together for maybe 6 or 8 sessions, but it had a huge impact on my life. And one of the questions she asked me, we were talking about dating, and I was single at the time. And I don't remember the context exactly, but we were talking about like the dream girl. What's that person like? And so, we figured this out. Like, who would your dream girl be? And then she asked the question, like, who is the kind of guy, or yeah, who is the kind of guy that girl would want to be with? And it really got me thinking, like about my life, almost as if it was a bit of like an RPG game, like a video game, where you're just like, how can I upgrade myself? How can I become that person that the kind of person I would want to be with would want to be with? Yeah, there we go. This is going to be a weird video in terms of how I'm talking. I can tell that already. Now, this isn't coming from some crazy, like, sociopathic, insecure way or some, like, social robot, like, all right, become like a 7.9 point sort of crap. But it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, why not try to upgrade yourself? Why not try to improve yourself? And so when I started thinking this way, it reminds me of like Joe Rogan has this quote, and it's like, be the hero of your own story. So if you think about like watching a movie, when there's a hero character, what kind of things do they do? How do they behave? Are they courageous and brave, or do they back down? Do they stand up for what's right, or do they, make excuses and cower in the corner? Be the hero in your own story. It's great advice. And this sort of like, I didn't wake up every day and think, how am I going to upgrade myself? But I think in the back of my mind, this advice sat there. And, there were things like I became a big brother. Um, and, the charity where you like mentor a young kid. And it wasn't that I was trying to do that to like impress girls, and it really didn't work if that was the intent, or anything like that. But it was sort of thinking about like, what if I was like the greatest person I could be? What are the kinds of things I would do? I'd wake up early. I'd go exercise. I'd volunteer and contribute how I could. I would do the right thing, like stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, or whatever else that happened to be. So I think this is a really good, if you are single or you're in a crappy relationship, or you're in a good relationship but you're considering upgrading, I think it's a really good way to think about things. Like, what do you need to do to become the kind of person the person you would want to be with would like to be with? And the reason I think it's so important, and maybe this is like a controversial topic, I don't know, like just accept yourself and everyone be happy with who you are and never try to improve yourself, right? That kind of attitude. Everyone gets trophies now in the United States, no matter what you do, right? But the person you're with for your whole life is going to be by far the biggest impact on your life, your partner, right? This is the person. If you don't have kids, well, let's say if you have kids, your kid is going to be half you, half your partner, and essentially, whether it's genetics or behavior, the mix of you and your partner will make your kid. So if your partner sucks, or if you suck, your kid might suck. And then you're going to have a sucky kid, and you're going to be like, I don't like having sucky kids, right? It's an important part. You're going to spend a lot of time with your kids as well. Now, if you don't want to have kids with your partner, then I'd say it's equally, if not more important, because I would presume over the course of 90 years or however long you'll live, you're going to spend a lot of time with your partner. And so being with someone who, makes you happy and motivates you, or makes you laugh, or makes you feel great about yourself, or is really good in bed, or still turns you on when you're 75 years old and you're like sitting there watching, I don't know, like Family Guy reruns 50 years from now, and you're like, yeah, I still love this person. That's going to make a really big difference on the happiness of your life, on your satisfaction, on your finances, on everything else. And so for me, just being logical, it makes sense to invest in terms of becoming like a better person from the perspective of dating. And of course, other areas in life as well. Just become a better person. It makes sense. But especially around this dating aspect, it made sense to me then, and a decade or so more, it makes sense to me now. I think it's very good advice to give to someone, like especially men, but I think men and women in your 20s, because it's very motivating. I think dating, like we want to be liked, we want to find a good partner, or if you're in a very single phase, you want to find many good partners. And that has an evolutionary motivation behind it, right? So it makes it a lot easier to motivate yourself to work out more or eat right or work harder on your business or whatever that happens to be, if you're tying that in with this evolutionary desire as well to like mate, essentially, right? You're going to have a lot more fuel to push you in your goals than if you're doing it for some other reason that's not related as much to biology. So when it comes to finding that perfect partner, instead of reading Cosmo like 10 tricks to make any man love you, or reading, like if you're a guy, reading like the 10 pickup lines that no girl can resist, instead of trying for these tricks, why not just try to become an awesome person, the kind of person that anyone would be lucky to be with? And if you do that, you don't have to play any tricks. You don't have to play any games. And here's the cool thing, you get to be an awesome person, which feels good in and of itself. So I hear. It's what I've been told around the water cooler. Thanks for watching this video. I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Is this good advice, bad advice? What do you think? Would you give this to your younger self or to your own kids? And if you haven't already and you've made it this far, definitely do subscribe to the channel and catch some more of our videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.